Welcome back to the Flow of Life Tarot. If you're here, you may have already seen the many paths videos. I felt really called to work with these cards specifically in greater depth because there was just so much coming through with each of them. So it's kind of like a little series. Feel free to just stay and watch here, and you can go back and catch up with the others if you feel called to. So this one, I'm really going to focus on the Many Paths card. What came out originally in the reading was the Vision Quest, acknowledging that you've been doing, so this is, this kind of flow, where you've been, where you're at, and where you're headed. You've been doing the light and shadow work and the integration of divine masculine, divine feminine, and the inner work. You're now at this point of choice, the many paths that lay ahead of you, and you're heading into your flow. And then this came out as a bonus card with the Gatherer. So I see this as also sort of what we're doing with these readings. It was gathering a bit of extra information for this process. And we had a progression here from 60, 34, 6 to 7. And then we also have this progression here from 20 to 21. So there's definite momentum and building with this sense of flow of this story. Okay, so I want to really just dig deep into the many paths that are where you're at now and these choices that you have in front of you. Obviously trusting your own intuition, take what resonates and leave the rest. Trusting your own natural inner wisdom and guidance and your own connection with Source. With that said, let's see if we can get some more information about the different paths that lay ahead. Let's see how that works. Let's see if we can. I'm just going to do some deeper shuffling. I wasn't going to show you all the cuts, but I may as well. Okay, 4 cuts. Devil popped up and hard work. I think you've been hard at it, doing your shadow work and releasing the ties that bind. You may feel you're slightly in a loop. Okay, there we go. But you're not in a loop. We've got High Priestess, intuition, inner wisdom, inner knowing, and the devil again. So yes, you've been doing the work and you have been facing your shadow and releasing the things that bind. Trust that. Okay, and the Page of Pentacles, the devil. I feel new information that's coming in will help you to see how much you've been releasing these ties that bind. Fresh, new resources as well, and opportunities. How many times is that cut? 1, 2, 3. I think maybe 4, but I'm going to take an extra one. In fact, I'm going to do 8. So I think if this is 5, oh, look, there we have the devil is still there. So yes, releasing things from the past as well. Things where there may have been nostalgia and attachment to childhood things or childhood patterns, experiences, ways of relating and interacting. Anything that we're attached to can become toxic, even the most beautiful of things. I remember many years ago, and I'd been practicing yoga for many years, and when I joined classes, I used to just turn up, get on my mat, practice, and then leave. I was never really in a headspace to socialize or interact too much. I just wanted to stay focused and in my zone, and that really worked for me. But I remember chatting and catching the eye with someone that I'd seen, another woman I'd seen over the years going, and she caught my eye, and we both laughed about how much she was very similar. She'd turn up and do her stuff and then go, and just said something about how much she loved her practice, and I laughed. I said, yeah, I think I'm addicted. And the moment I said those words, as I walked out of the building, there was this surreal moment of, okay, that's interesting. Something so pure and something that I value so much, and has become such an important part of my life and my daily routines and my practice and part of my self-care as well as self-growth and all of those things. I called it addictive, and I thought, well, and that was sort of a turning point for me, and my relationship with my practice started to change, and I had more awareness about why I was doing it. I'd gotten into it and I got into the flow of it and I loved it, but it was very useful in that moment to see, right, okay, even the most benevolent of things, if there's an addiction there, then there's something else going on. It's no longer serving the highest good and greatest well-being. Not the yoga, but my relationship to my yoga practice, right? So that little story said, yes, fifth cut, we have the Fool and 6 cups again. So yes, we've shifted out of that devil energy, taking a brave step new forward. It's like you've completed the whole of the tarot series, the whole story all the way up to the final card, and then it resets to the Fool. So the journey starts once more, like being reborn. And now I see this benevolence of support of childhood things and childhood memories. They are supportive and nurturing and loving. The energy of that shifted. See, 5, 6. Okay, yeah. So we have 10 of Pentacles. That's quite a big leap to go from the Fool to the 10 of Pentacles. So you're stepping into your abundance, and there is healthy love and support from your childhood. So there's so much that is good that we can take. Often we focus on things that are considered negative, especially in shadow work, but there is so much that's good that gets cast aside and abandoned and rejected, and reintegrating that and bringing that love back and accessing that love and that joy again is also part of the shadow work. So what did I say? 6, 7. Okay, yeah. But you may feel battle weary, and that's okay. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to take a moment, and it's okay. It's like comfort food, right? It's sometimes we do have to. I was thinking about earlier today. We're right in the midst of summer and it's hot, and for some reason my mind was drawn to different seasons where you have comfort food and you wear clothes that you can wrap yourself up in, or you have blankets and stuff. And it's funny how that just struck me. Obviously it's more of a winter thing that we associate with, but I'm getting here comfort food, nourishment, caring, taking care of the self. Okay, I don't know why I'm getting 8 in particular, but look, there we go. Death and transformation. And again, this feels in a very benevolent way, and it feels like a transformation of childhood things. So transforming all of it, the good, the bad and the ugly, and in that process of transformation, reclaiming the pure innocence that was always there and always meant to be there. And look at all this white that we see in the horse and the flag. Even it's like the dead Pope or something. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Down there, the dead body that the death is stepping over. Reclaiming nourishment through this transformation. I'm going to do another one. 9s, 8s are beautiful numbers, so are 9s. We've got 3, 6, 9 is that magic Tesla number. It's also solfeggio number, vibrational frequency, and temperance. Yes, temperance is overseeing this transformation. So it may not be the rip-roaring, horrific kind of Plutonian transformation that sometimes we associate with death and scorpionic energies. We've got this, is it Libra, temperance, Aquarius? I don't know, my mind is sort of, okay, I'm thinking Libra because of the balance with the cups, but I'm thinking Aquarius because I see this temperance. I'm also getting Taurus. In fact, I'm getting also the like on the wheel, you get, what is it? Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, that axis of the zodiac signs. Okay, what about these paths then? Let's see, what paths We get one. Let's see if we can get. I feel like there's 8 paths. It could be more or less, but I want to explore 8 paths. So if I get one card for each, we'd see what the different paths are. I don't know if that's going to work because I feel like I'm going to get more than one card jumping at a time. So we get one card for one of the paths. There we go. Path of intuition. Well, I think that should be part of all of the paths, to be honest. So, okay, let's see. One card for these many paths ahead. One card. Okay, and then we've got another one. We've got another 2 that were popping out here. This is interesting. As I was shuffling, I was thinking about how, as I was saying in one of the other videos, these many paths, they all lead to this one place of enlightenment. So it doesn't matter which way you go. You know, we'll all get there eventually, whatever our paths, no matter how different or similar they look or may seem, or how different our previous life paths may have looked or been. We're all ultimately going to be headed in the same direction, which is this beautiful enlightenment. That's what I was getting whilst shuffling and looking at this. That it doesn't really matter which path we take. It's always the path inwards. So saying different paths is what's the word? Yes, we have free will and our lives can look vastly different, and our paths internally and externally perceived can seem vastly different and varied. But ultimately it's always the path inwards, the path to the heart. Okay, this is interesting. I wondered if this might happen. I wanted to get one card for each type of path. But I think the point is that each of you have different paths laid ahead of you, and the important thing is that you go within, that you trust your inner wisdom and your intuition, that you're aware that the wheel of fate, fortune, you know, life has circumstances that are beyond our control. So remembering that and being aware of that, and not thinking that you're like an omnipotent angry tyrant that controls everything. Yes, we have control over ourselves and what we choose to do, think and feel, and how we choose to act or react or respond, right? And that's the greatest power, to have power over ourselves. So that is the greatest gift, and it is the gift of free will, because we can get there on our own volition. The path inwards, understanding that things do change in life, things happen. Remembering that means that you don't feel that you're just stuck at the whims of fate. Remember that yes, you have control over yourself, and that's where the greatest power lies, and that's where the greatest power of change lives. But also, you know, we're in a big, massive universe and a big world, and there's also so much going on that isn't in our direct, immediate control. Thank goodness. We live on a planet of free will. And yes, heartache can also be part of the path sometimes. It's not like you have to invite it. It's not like you have to keep experiencing it, but you can become aware that the heartache is caused by the thoughts. And the thoughts are part of the habits and the patterns that underpin our automatic responses and ways of dealing with things in life. So becoming mindful of our thoughts means we can take better care of our hearts. Okay, and then in that process, that's what the King of Cups does. He has mastered his emotions, not in the sense of controls them and limits them or cuts them off. He understands the nature of the water and allows it to flow. So that self-awareness and that self-understanding is what comes through over and over. So whatever path presents before you, whatever options you have in your individual life and going forward, being guided by this wisdom, is what will lead to this self-mastery. And ultimately the Ten of Pentacles, which, okay, Ten of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. It's just, I'm seeing the Star card there, yeah. So it's the integrity that you have as you walk the path. It doesn't matter what path you take, it's the integrity in which you carry yourself as you walk that path. Play that again. Those words came, I don't know. It isn't the path that you choose to take, it's the integrity in which you walk and carry yourself on that path that is of high value, that is the purpose. So self-mastery here, just reiterating what we were just talking about with going inwards and the High Priestess. And you can see the progression as well as it being guidance. Going inwards means that you have more control over how you respond to the wheel of karma, the wheel of fate, and how you deal with the heartache and how you become a master of your emotions and ultimately a mastery of self. Okay. I'm going to get, I did say I was going to get 8, so I'm going to carry on and get this 8. Okay, there we go. It's funny, I nearly mentioned it a few minutes ago. We have a lot of major arcana that have come out. Two major arcanas here, and then 3 major arcanas. That's 5 major arcanas, 2 court cards, and all with this. This is the only card, this 3 of Swords, this is the only card that isn't a major arcana or a court card. I feel this carries extra significance, as well as what we've just talked about. I'm going to just see if I can just pull a couple of cards on this 3 of Swords in particular. See if there's any specific... Okay, this went on the floor. I'm not going to keep it, but the 7 of Pentacles. I think some of you feel like you've really been dealing with the same issues and really the same heart issues and the same heartache over and over and over again. And I think you feel like, when is that going to just level up? So I'm just getting a card on this 3 of Swords. That's interesting. 8 of Wands, new information coming in, being in your Empress energy and peace. I just feel like this is a bit of a side note that someone could be getting closure on 3 decades worth, 3 years worth, many, many heartaches. I could almost see like another 20 swords in there. So I feel this has been really important in terms of the paths ahead. When you're walking on your next paths, you're going to have to leave this behind, but we have to give ourselves closure. And I feel that this is saying that you are going to get some, okay, it may not be a message from a person that you want to hear from or group of people or specific situations, but I feel like you're going to get some news or information coming in quickly that's just going to remind you who you are, which is the Empress. And then you're just going to relax into your Empress energy, really seated in your power, seated in yourself, and in that place of peace. I mean, look, that is the progression from the 3 of Swords to the 4 of Swords. That is the closure, that is the peace, the healing that's much needed. And that's kind of like one of the most beautiful healing cards to follow, because it is the natural progression. I'm glad I asked about that, because that feels really important. And heartache, yes, I mean, for all of us, we can logically and rationally understand this or know that, or we can have experienced things in the past and know, like, oh yeah, well, blah blah blah. We can know it, right? We can know it, but it doesn't mean that pain is any less painful to go through and experience. And also, in terms of pain, not just romantic pain, but life lessons, I don't call them lessons, life experiences, horrific things that people go through that really hurt. So I feel this is also referring to that. It's not just romantic type love pain, it's the full spectrum of heartache. It's anything and everything. And I feel that perhaps this is what's been needed. This is the snag that's perhaps been why you're sort of teetering on the precipice of exploring and moving onward with your path, because there's something just here that's just needed for this. And it's coming. Whatever it is that you need is coming. Even if it's in the form of a message from your higher self, from divine source, something that you read or see, something that just reminds you of your grace, of your power. The Empress is the divine feminine. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's that phrase, you've got to feel it to heal it. So it's not about avoiding the pain. It's not about denying the feelings. It doesn't make, just because we know what to do to get over the heartache doesn't mean it's any less painful to go through. So this is what's supporting let's just do that, because this is the energy that we're embodying. How beautiful is that? Right, back to this, the 8 cards that I wanted to ask for the many paths. I had this story that I went through already, and then the self-mastery. You're being supported, the universe is supporting you, divine justice is on your side, and the abundance and the wealth. I like that both of these, even if you follow it as a story up here and a story in tandem here, these sort of tracks, I feel this can be taken in many ways, but this could be taken as the divine feminine and her story, and the divine masculine and his story. And her story leads to her being embodied in a divine masculine, and his story leads him to being embodied as an own divine sacred inner feminine. Did that make sense? Did you follow that? I'm just viewing this now as this is the path of the divine masculine, and how it progresses. Self-mastery, the sun, divine justice, integration of the divine sacred feminine. And this is the path of the divine feminine, from going inwards, navigating the wheels of karma, dealing with the heartache. I make it sound so flippant, but you know what I mean. And then this integration of the divine sacred inner masculine. That is one way to view this. Another way was simply as in a story that continues and then continues the thread. And the path, snaking from this cups, magician, like one long path. What else was I viewing it as? And yes, and also viewing it this way. So the third way of viewing this is that going inwards leads to this greater power over self, trusting the flow of life, aka the wheel of fortune, is landing in your favour. Integrating the wounds and the pain of the Three of Swords through this process, which is a remembering of the embodiment of the Divine Empress, leads to the justice that you've been seeking. She carries the one sword there, which cuts through the bullshit. So there may be this sense, the news that could be coming through here from this Eight of Wands, that news that could be coming through could be something that is serving justice. I hope you're following this, because my mind is, I'm gathering, pulling these threads, and I can see these weavings of pathways. Okay, and then the other one is by integrating your emotional body, and your divine inner masculine. That's also accessing your abundance, your earthly abundance, and your manifestations, and being in your divine, sacred, inner feminine, and just the coupling of the two. So I'm just going to replay that again. There's 3 different tracks. You can follow this story this way, through here on this path that then follows this way. You can follow it as this is the divine feminine, this is the divine masculine, which is the second way, and the third way is you can view it as each of these different paths like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3 different ways of viewing this unfoldment. I knew there was a lot here, which is why I really wanted to dig deeper and do more of these. I think this is quite long for now, so okay, I just 4 of Pentacles at the bottom. I'm just saying, like, being in your stability and being capable. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there and probably do another one. Okay, take care.